would like to do first is to get everyone to have an experience right here, right now, of what we're going to be talking about in just a second. So it has a lot to do with rhythm and music and harmony and all that, but I just want to go with clapping. So I want everyone to start clapping. Get the energy going. Let's go a little faster. Just feel it flow, feel the flow. Get the body opened up. Let's get a little noise going. Woo! ASD! All right. All right, thank you. Doesn't that feel good? I know I feel a lot better from that.
I definitely felt a lot of work in my thyroid area, my right jaw, and my left foot that I've been waking up with basically it being a crippled foot.
Definitely some like tingling in like the third eye area.
I think when you put on the oil, like I calm down.
I feel amazing. I've taken so many deep breaths.
Let's see here. Let me see. All right, welcome everybody. We are live. I got my microphone turned on. We've been having some fun conversation here on the back end. Let me bring the doctors that are here in physical present form. I know Dr. Vesna reported to me that she's with family this month and she's going to be checking in remotely and things of this nature. But welcome everybody. We are live with Synergy Solutions. And well, what an interesting day. What a fun day. And I want to acknowledge, we were just talking about Sasha's mother. She's mentally sharp. She's at the, she's at the elder ages of life. 97. We were just talking about 1924, right? That was the year we were talking about. And the purity of that time, the food, the water, the air, so clean. And, the way that, I feel when I go to the mountains or to an isolated beach area. George, welcome back. You were just in South Carolina. How was the nature area where you were?
It was great. There was a lot of nature all over the place. We arrived at our bed and breakfast about 8:00 at night, and right out back was a stretch of grass, the swamp, the tree line, and the ocean right beyond that, and the full moon's coming up. So it was pretty spectacular. So there's birds and fish jumping and all this stuff. And we spent a lot of time at Brook Green Garden, which is, an enormous horticultural garden, with a good dose of sculptures all over the place. So just a lot of beauty and tranquility and good seafood and just a few days, but just really relaxing. I felt a lot of stress come out of me. It's kind of cool.
It's amazing how nourishing some time away, a little bit of light travel. You're in a beautiful scenery in a country setting, different, and how freeing that is. And that's why, and it's part of why I titled today's conversation "Freeing the Being."
Freeing the Being.
And I don't know about what it's like in the UK, but I know here in the Northeast, there's a lot of go energy. And Sasha, tell me about where you are in the UK. The pace and the connection to the natural scene. How close by is that for you?
I'm in a large city, but it's reasonable.
Very good.
And I choose not to go with the fast flow.
Well, I want to acknowledge you. You mentioned that last time we had this conversation, and for those that are new to the conversation, we talk about the quantum world, the power of intention, and our thoughts, our feelings, the world around us, our energy field. It's all integrated, and there's a way for us to help you process and release this energy that's stuck, which results in a tough life or tough situations or a physical breakdown. However, there's a way to process that, to free yourself of that, and to then move on to a greater life. And that's, of course, if you choose to take those actions. One of the the laws of manifestation, of course, is to take action once you have the inspiration. But with that being said, Sasha inspired me last week. She talked about let the world kind of go at its own pace and you do your own thing. And I really sat with that thought for a couple of days, and I journaled about it. And it's been so freeing, letting the world do its thing. And knowing that
does anyway.
it does
It does
anyway.
anyway.
It does anyway.
Well, do your thing.
Right. And I recognize, so I'm doing this 42-day intention process with a mentor of mine, and in that piece was so, the timing, the synchronicity, and of course that's how you know things are divine when it all lines up that way, and something just piques that interest, and you follow that with your gut instinct or that feel, that vibe, and it turns into this wonderful, golden nugget for you. And so
Mm.
what I saw in my life was how to create different kinds of boundaries for how the world interacts with me. And if I could, kind of put some personal growth language in that concept that's that one statement, it just opened up this whole world of thought for me, Sasha. So thank you.
Oh, pleasure.
Yes, yes. And I'm looking for the slide to show everybody at home because I am streaming. We're streaming to a bunch of different channels that I connect to. And I like to share the major concepts when we do this work. I like to go live with everybody like once a month, once every 6 weeks, and then we have, of course, every week on Wednesdays at noon, we go live uh, and share the good news, and we go over the details. So here we are. Let me see if I can zoom in on the right slide here. And Docs, you've seen this at home. It's the structure to intention slide. And this is where we have the conversation. I'll see if I can pull up for the doctors as well. Just one second. I love all the, yes, we are live, and I love all the internet gymnastics. And that's the fun, that's part of the fun part for me. One day, I'm intending I'll have a proper, like, producer, like a TV show. Make it happen. All right, so everybody, it's what you're seeing at home. And so we see this, we are physical beings. Yes, we have bones, muscles, ligaments. That's what's structure. And then, of course, to the left of that, we have function. That's moving, breathing, thinking, acting, doing the things you want to do to get the things done that you want to get done. But of course, and then we go to when we have the physical pains and problems, we have structural and chemistry. That's where most people think. I think most people actually, I must get my opinion is, I'll say this. I know that I observe people are focused on chemistry a lot right now. Though there's an emerging group of professionals and scientists and individuals that are highly interested in the electromagnetic and energy fields and subtle energy fields. And of course, as we go around this little pathway of subtle energy fields into intention and information, we all have common everyday experiences. If you sat and listened to some stories that can help you pull up your past and your history and your current events. However, we tend to focus, how well we can move. And that means our posture and alignment. And most people are thinking chemistry, and we alter that chemistry with, whether it's coffee or medications or anything. Now, let me stop that share, and then we'll get back to everybody here. So for everybody at home, we are working on the subtle energy, the intention and information levels, which inform the physical levels of what to do and how to operate. It's kind of like a blueprint. And it's almost, if I could go back even another step, it's like the individual, the consciousness that drew the blueprint. And you can have a nice conversation with that and help re-edit that blueprint. And I suggest, I personally believe we are in a very key point in time in history about what that is. And I'm showing everybody at home, Dr. George and Sasha, you've seen it. The planetary movements and how they move around.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up for everybody at home. I'm gonna turn the volume down a little bit. It's so loud, my goodness. And if I can just give a little fast forward back a couple years, and then I'll put it into motion for everybody. And you can see how it just kind of spins around, and it spins around in like a reverse clock motion. And I'm based on what we're looking at, you can, and we're already past current time, but this is just the concept of how planetary bodies move in our cosmos. And of course, based on this model, we're moving around the sun in all these different ways. And these bodies of George, and you can comment because you have some. For those who don't know, Dr. George's some personal history. He has a lot of electrical engineering heritage and some conversational
There, yeah.
knowledge. And but in neurology, in what we study as chiropractic physicians, functional neurology individuals, it's all about electromagnetics. MRIs and EKGs and nerve conduction tests, and we're looking at what we call mental impulse.
Right. Well, I mean, the fundamental principle of chiropractic is that the universe is intelligent, and that intelligence, shows up in matter. It's delivered to matter by force or energy. And so, information or intelligence, energy or force, and physical matter, that's kind of the game. And we, having an intellect and a finite mind, can be sort of a co-creator in that system. There's a big creator of the system, but we, being individualized portions of the all that is, a little segment of that wholeness is in us. So we get to create too. And how we create is we have an idea, and the intention is the motive force that delivers it to another material object in the universe, whether it be a person or something else. So essentially, just with our thoughts and thinking about the people we're going to serve today, we can and do serve them just by having the intention to do so. That's kind of how it works. And the more you practice it, the more reach you have. Approaching 300 million last week.
Well, a beautiful, beautiful thought. Thank you. And I want to welcome Dr. George. Thank you for the explanation. And I want to bring another part of that conversation in here in a moment. But I want to welcome Dr. Adrian.
Hi.
Tuning in.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Adrian, pops in at the best times. Here's what I've recognized. So I love, and I want to bring back Dr. George, what he just said, and we were talking essentially about the electromagnetic nature of how intention and the work that we do here through the subtle energy realm affects the physical realm, affects the physical human function. And George, what I wanted to say was, it's like, as we go through denser layers of what it is to be human, we have our subtle field around us, we have our skin and our tissue and our bone. There's different levels of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And the time it takes to affect, now this is theory, I'm theorizing, but I think I have solid grounding here. The time it takes to affect these different levels of resistance is different for everybody, based on their individual personal growth, their body work, their nutrition status, all these things of what it means to be well, the actions.
Right.
And so here we are, someone who's never done, something healthy in their life meets someone like us, and we help them with something. They may not notice anything, or it could affect them so profoundly that it rocks their boat. I don't know. Sometimes it could go either way. That's the beauty. George, your thoughts on that?
Well, as chiropractors, we're teachers, and the message is simple, but it has to have a place to land. So there's a lot of unlearning to do to fully receive the message. That's a lot of the work. One of the biggest resistances is our preconceived notions, what we've been taught, what we grew up with. Watching doctor shows on TV and getting pummeled by advertising that your body is weak, you need this drug. That sort of thinking makes it hard for people to grasp the simple truth that this thing built itself. It can rebuild itself, it can maintain itself. All you need to do is get the interference out of the way. It's really that simple.
That's profound, George. I mean, the simplicity is the answer to get the big picture, as they say. Dr. Adrian, I could go on for more quotes, but I'll hold myself back.
Okay.
Well, the simplicity is found on the far side of complexity.
Right.
That's that's a quote, Dr. Packentempo.
Yeah,
you know it, George.
Yeah.
Dr. Adrian, welcome.
Thank you.
You've popped in here the last 2 or 3 minutes. What have you heard? How would you summarize in a simple way? What did you hear us, George and I, talking about for those that are knowledgeable in healing, but also beginning in the world of healing and intention.
So I just heard Dr. George last sentence probably, and then you Dr. Kevin, just went on with the resistance and how every person handles it in a different way as more or less resistance. And yeah, I really love the image of the hollow bone we have as chiropractors, to be so clear and so aligned that we simply allow God to be channeled and to use us as the instrument of healing. And to go to the resistance subject, then the hollow bone that we are can be very thin or actually very large, and that depends on how much work we've done. And that is not only applying to chiropractors; it applies to everybody, because everybody has some part of God, some God being channeled in her or him. So it's really about what we can do to enlarge this God part in us.
Wow, so profound. Thank you, Adrian. Sasha, you messaged. Let me read it up here if I can pull it up. I apologize. We are both made to go wrong and made to be fixed. Sasha, share a little bit more about that.
Well, it is what it is. We go wrong sometimes, and there's always a solution.
There's always a solution. It's a good awareness, because problems arise, things pop up, events that we don't predict, here they come, and then and this is where, as you get more aware of yourself, you can check in at the moment that perturbance, if it may be like in the field, is noticed. And that's I'll invite you to dive in and investigate yourself at the proper time of why that's sensitized, and how do you release that sensitivity, or how do you heal that, how do you nurture that. And I know the work that we do here does and facilitates that. So thank you, everyone. Great conversation today. I really appreciate that. Anyone tuning in, go ahead and ask your questions, put your thoughts in. We're going to continue on for all those that desiring some intentional based healing, remote based healing, regardless of where you are in the world. This is a time to say yes to receive, and then we'll go about the process of explaining, kind of briefly, just demonstrating the next piece of what we're going to do. And this happens each and every week, and I have some nice testimonials, and we get to share more of the inside. So, but let's continue. So right now we're going to shift gears, and we're talking about intention, and we're just essentially opening up to aligning with our greatest self, our heart-based self, our self that is out of alignment, to help be in alignment, to process the world. To George, how would you provide a simple statement to what we're doing with our work here today? And same question to everybody here in a second.
My intent today is to remind people of who we are. I mean, that's kind of simple. Like, how did this come into being? How does it eat food, breathe air, and grow and heal and do all the stuff we do? Like, who are we? Once we get that, things fall into place. Wonderful. I'm not my mind. This is a clue. I'm that mind.
Know thyself. Know thyself. I like to say that. And George, I think you're pointing to the right direction. Well, as we commonly like to refer to. Dr. Sasha.
There's the sun.
What share for the everyday person that may not be aware? What are we doing? What's our intention as the doctors that we're providing the input to the people and the beings receiving?
And we're checking out the field that we all actually come from, the abstract field that we all come from, and just seeing if there's any priorities that can be addressed.
So we're checking in with the source. If I could recap, we're checking in with the source, and Sasha used the word priorities, and that's for each. That's a word that each of the doctors here knows as what's the first thing that we're each of us are being instructed to do. So Dr. George has a job, I have a job, Sasha has a job, Adrian has a job. We're not quite sure what that job is yet, but we show up to the work site, we get our instructions, we get the timing, we listen to the words, and we just follow like the conductor, we follow the conductor. And then you, as those receiving at home, whatever time space that you're receiving this, you are enjoying that music. And then that music will move you in some fashion. Dr. Adrian, your thoughts for today's intention or what we're doing?
Okay. We're kind of the mirrors. We mirror what, the situation of the other person and how what needs to be worked on, what needs an update, and then so that we can, so for example, physically it would be okay, that shoulder is more tense than the other, so we bring awareness to that, and so that is like a education through feeling. It's not only verbal education, it's education through awareness, body awareness and feeling. And that's for my part, that's mostly what I do. So I don't talk much, actually. So I mostly show the differences so that I can have more awareness each time.
I greatly appreciate your position. I know when I'm in that position of silence, there's greater perception of the subtleties. And I appreciate your statement on that. So this is a reminder for me right now to, although I have some responsibilities here, I like to put on a wonderful production. I'm already gearing myself now, prepping myself here that I want to just be a little bit slower as I step into the space of, I consider a space of honor that you at home have allowed us to facilitate you in this journey and do our part to help you become more free in some fashion. So thank you, Adrian, for that commentary. And for those of you at home, willingness to accept, say yes. And if there's something that doesn't feel quite right, it's okay to say no to that part. You can receive all of it, receive a portion of it, and ask your heart, ask your higher self to be the filter of that. And just follow that intuition, follow that sense. Sometimes the mind can get in the way, as George was so wonderfully pointing out. And we're going to begin that here in just a moment. So go ahead and take a nice deep breath. And I'm going to slightly turn up the music for those at home. And the doctors will begin their process of checking in and doing the work. And we'll be back in just maybe a minute, maybe two, maybe three. And we'll check in with that. Doctors, when you're finished, go ahead and give the thumbs up. I'll keep an eye out for that. And let's go ahead and begin. And for those of you tuning in and watching, we are in the middle of the synergy healing session. And each of the doctors have tapped in and tuned in, and sometimes some people are active and some people are waiting, just like a grand orchestra. We'll be checking in at the end. And if you're at home and you're noticing things, go ahead and type in the chat. I have it up in the background here. Let me know what you're noticing. If you're all wrapped up, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I may have missed it. Sasha, how you doing over there? Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, thank you. Let me turn down the music for those at home. Now we're going to do a little dive into there about what each of the doctors found, worked on, and noticed. And I'm just going to start. I had a C1 on the right. Oftentimes I find myself working with C1 on the right first. So that must be my gateway in, Dr. George, as we talk about. Though I will say, there was only a slight thing for me to do after that. But beyond that, I just felt my heart opening. And then after that, there was like this desire for me to have my hands out in front of me, almost imagining a circle around me, just, I don't know, expanding it and smoothing it out. Take that for what you'd like. I have my thoughts of perceptions of what that may be. I think I have to do with my heart field and how I connect with myself in my heart. That's my interpretation. But Dr. Adrian, what did you notice today, and what did you work on?
Noticed a need for grounding, and then a sphenoid on the right side, and then I felt the field was way larger on the left side than the right side. On the right side was compressed, and so was to make it more balanced, to decompress that.
Almost like a lung, where if the air gets in there, it crushes it, and so now we're allowing that to be healed and expanded. Interesting, wonderful, wow, profound. Thank you, Adrian.
You're welcome.
For those that are, I'm going to comment on my own wonderment of Adrian's commentary. I love my favorite part is the debrief, and we get to see the I get to see the connections and synchronicities of everyone's work, and how does it play out in everyone's life? I am unsure of that. That's why that's why I'm going to start requesting people to provide feedback every time. But Dr. Sasha, what did you work on today? What did you note?
I got emotional priority, and the only adjustment was the lower body aura. There was nothing else to do. The collective lower body aura.
Wonderful. Well, if I may comment, lower body aura to me also translates to what Adrian mentioned, grounding. And emotional, as Dr. George knows, and I know Sasha knows, in KST, I know George and I, where we first met, the sphenoid is the emotional bone. That's the keystone for the emotional release. Wonderful. Again, more synchronicity. I was like, okay, here's more proof. Come on, we'll just keep going. And I want to be humble in that statement. And Adrian, I think maybe we talk with, I don't want to say too much, but we will be finding more evidence to support what we're doing. Dr. George, your findings today.
It was the weirdest thing yet. And, I keep questioning this and I just do what it says. So, the first thing was to go into the right kidney. And then it's like, it's what to adjust. What it came down to was adjusting the electromagnetic aspect of our atmosphere. And I had to go to the center of the earth and put a force in, like dropping a rock into a pond only in 3 dimensions, and it just kind of rippled out so that it could maybe expand the earth, like where I was expanding stuff. That's peculiar and weird to me, and but it kind of ties in with Kevin, like pushing things out, and Sasha taking care of the aura under our feet. And I was thinking that it's kind of like a grounding thing, which is what Adrian said. So yeah, that's kind of weird to adjust from the center of the earth to affect the atmosphere, and then I guess we breathe in the healing from that or something. I should go to the beach more, I guess. I don't know.
I think it may be wise advice. I'm going to take it. However, George, I think we could probably review what we just did and what we talked about today and our intentions and the nature of the world. And I personally have been investigating the environmental energetic matrix, and the what I personally am blown away with what just occurred. In positive ways. Like,
me too.
My faith quotient, thousands of percent increased right there. The nature of what we're doing and what we're tapping into, what we're investigating, is bigger than anticipated. That's all I can say. And so I'm glad this is out streaming to wherever it's being streamed, and whoever's collecting this data. Hopefully you're getting some love too. And so that being said, anything else before we wrap up? Any final comments? I'll say that. Otherwise, it's been a wonderful Wednesday. Every Wednesday we go live 12 noon Eastern time in synergysolutionsessions.com, and we have a private members Facebook group. I've been building the library of information. I have a whole series of protocols, procedures, content, education, trainings, coaching for those that want to become their own self-healer and possibly transform the world and those around you. This is the path I've chosen, and I want to share the knowledge that I've gained, and this is a big part of it, Synergy Solutions. So Dr. George, Dr. Sasha, Dr. Adrian, thank you. All those at home, blessings and best regards.
Thank you.
See you next Wednesday.
Everybody.
Bye,
Yeah,
everyone.
good
What
stuff.
I'd like to do first is to get everyone to have an experience right here,
Great
right
stuff.
now, of what we're going to be talking about in just a second. So it has a lot to do with rhythm and music and harmony and all that, but I just want to go with clapping. So I want everyone to start clapping. Get the energy going. Let's go a little faster. Just feel it flow, feel the flow. Get the body opened up. Let's get a little noise going. Woo! Yeah, team, all right. All right, thank you. Doesn't that feel good? I know I feel a lot better from that.
I definitely felt a lot of work in my thyroid area, my right jaw, and my left foot that I've been waking up with basically it being a crippled foot.
Definitely some like tingling in like the third eye area.
I think when you put on the oil, like I calm down.
I feel amazing. I've taken so many deep breaths